Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and after quite a while, it's finally time for another overlooked but awesome card, and this one was picked out by me personally. This goes way back to when I first started playing Magic. This was one of my favorite cards. I barely knew what a counterspell was, but I looked at this and I'm like, yes, that's going in my garbage 78 card Leviathan blue-white sort of semi-mill deck. Did I mention it was a while ago? That deck was actually so big, I just said it's closer to a commander deck than a standard deck, which actually is not mathematically true, but I made it into my commander deck and I still have it. Oh, and this card is still in it. It's time for the king of all counterspells, Render Silent. Now you know it's going to be some completely mad countering action when they mix a color other than blue. That's been a pattern. I wish I could throw up like 10 examples, but it would take me forever to find them. But whenever a counterspell mixes a color, it gets nuts, and this is no exception to the rule. So what it does is you counter target spell, and then its controller can't cast spells this turn. Unfortunately, they could obviously throw another spell on the stack, but other than that, if you counter like a creature summoning or something, you always got to question yourself thinking, what if they bring out something worse next? That's only a 2-cost creature, or that's only a 3-cost, artifact. What if they have something better? Well, now you don't care. If they had something better, too bad. The rest of the turn, they can't cast any spells. I just wish that this had split second, but obviously that wasn't a thing when this came out. Now, if you're thinking that this kind of looks like cancel mixed with silence, it is literally cancel mixed with silence. I mean, silence costs 1 white, and this is 1 white and 2 blue, and then cancel is 2 blue and 1 colorless. I mean, generic. Thanks, OGW. Now, the flavor text is kind of funny. It says, "We have confiscated your spells as evidence. Once we conclude our investigation, you may petition to have them returned." It's kind of funny because that's not at all what this card does. That sounds more like Spell Queller, but whatever. I think the joke is that it's going to get caught up in red tape. You're never getting your spells back. Your stupid little Tarmogoyf is stuck in an evidence locker somewhere, and honestly, I hope it dies there. Now, I think one thing that leads into this being an underrated card is that, at this point it would be in Modern, and nobody really runs like serious counterspells in Modern because they just don't work. Everybody's cards are so good that it's the universal law of counterspelling. Everything being equal, if you're running 20 actual cards and 20 counterspells so that you can stop your opponent, and they're running 40 actual cards, they're going to win. They're still going to beat you because they'll still have double the amount of things as you do, or equal the amount of things you do if you countered exactly the right amount. The math on that actually gets way more complicated. Oh, and then there's like counter spells that draw, and then there's like, draw an extra card during your upkeep, and that's typically a blue thing, so it all falls apart. But on the surface, if you were to trade 1-to-1 for a spell for one of their spells, what's left in your deck probably isn't more powerful than what's left in their deck, considering they don't care about what they pull next, in general. Now, if it's a combo deck, that's a whole different story. But if they're playing like Zoo or Jund or something, like a normal deck where you like cast spells and do things and swing, so you countered one of their creatures, it doesn't matter. They're going to pull another creature when you have a 50-50 chance of pulling a counter spell or an actual card that actually wins the game. So you'll never be able to completely stop what somebody's doing and just utterly shut it down, counter every single spell, and then also at the same time bring out something that would win the game. And of course, the funny thing about that is that's one of the first Modern decks I built, Beholder Alpha. It literally attempts to counter every single spell and then still win the game. Now, the other thing keeping this card in obscurity is the fact that it was from Dragon's Maze, not a very popular set at all. Oh, and also the 2-color thing doesn't help. Those are 2 very not played colors in Modern, but this is more of a commander card. Unfortunately, if it's multiplayer, you can't affect your opponent's turns, but it's still a really nice spell. I mean, for 3 mana, you're just jamming everything. Their turn is basically over, except for combat. So if you put a lot of counter spells in your commander deck, which it's occasionally something people do, this would definitely fit. And it's in my blue-white deck because it's basically a blue-white don't swing at me and don't piss me off deck. It's counter spells, removal, bounce, swing deterrence, life gain. It just runs such crazy stuff like dramatic reversal, riot control. And Isperia is the commander. So for every creature that swings at me, I draw a card per creature. And then I'm probably going to draw into like an Aether Spouts or something and just completely ruin your entire attack. I might even just ruin the whole game. So it's strictly a multiplayer one because, it's like, don't swing at me. Well, if there's only one person to swing at, they're going to swing at me anyway. It can win one-on-one, but overall, it's a pretty weak deck. But this is one of the more fun cards in it, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next video.